Hello YouTube. Today we are going to be doing a very quick tutorial on how to set up parallel compression in Logic Pro 10. Alright, so here I've got just a Logic drummer. Let's go ahead and do Command U to select our cycle region and just take a quick listen to what this drum set sounds like. Dry, I'll turn off our compressor. Pretty standard sounding drum kit. Now let's go ahead and open up our compressor, turn it on. This is just whatever the default was that came with this drummer track. You can see we're just getting just a little bit of compression on this needle. Let's go ahead and make the effect more dramatic so that we can more clearly hear what's going on. So we're going to pull back our threshold, crank up our ratio, bring down our attack, and bring up our makeup gain, and let's just listen to what this does. Alright, so now we got some super compressed drums so we can really kind of hear what's going to be going on. I'm going to show you two ways to do parallel compression. Now what parallel compression is you've got a mix of your dry signal and your wet compressed signal. So in this case, we've got a very uncompressed dry signal with a very compressed wet signal. Now you can see that this compressor has a mix knob. So I can go 50%, turn it off completely, bypass it at 0%, all of our input, or I can make it 100% wet. This is going to be the easiest, fastest way to set up parallel compression. We can just start at 0, take a listen, and start to mix in the compressor. Right around 40% is where I start to hear a little bit of that sizzle come in from the compressed cymbals. So right around 40 is probably a sweet spot. Let's just continue to tune it up, and you can listen to how this is affecting the sound. You can see by the time we get to the end, it's that fully, extremely compressed, and it goes up the entire time. So that's the easiest way to do parallel compression. Find a compressor with a mix knob and tune it to your liking. Now, not every compressor is going to have a mix knob, especially older plugins. Now, the old way to do this, before they started putting these mix knobs on the plugins, was you would use a bus. So I've got this bus set up here. Let's go ahead and drag our compressor onto this bus. Whenever we use a plugin on a bus, we always just want to use the plugin at 100% wet. We're going to use Option click on here to do a full send to our compressor. And now, basically our volume fader is going to be our mix knob. So we can start it all the way down, and we can start to mix it in. Right around here is probably matches up about with that 40% mark, and then as we go all the way up to unity gain at 0 dB, we're going to be at that 50-50. Because we're using both an input signal and our bus signal, the most we could do is 50-50. We'd have to mute our track or have it, or change the output to no output if we wanted just the wet bus signal. So once we get up to 0, we're at this 50% mark. Now, if we wanted to have a higher than 50% wet, what we could do is change the type of our send to pre-fader, and then we could lower our fader here, and then this signal would be quieter, but the full signal would still be going to our bus, so our bus compression would end up being louder, and that's how we can get above a 50% mix using a bus. Another reason you might want to use the bus over just a channel strip with a mix knob is because then you can start to do different things to the compressed signal. So let's say I want to take our parallel compressed signal and I want to apply some EQ. I want to take out a little bit of that snare thickness, right? I can apply an EQ just to the compressed track, so I get a little bit more control over the effects that I'm applying to my compressed signal. And then the second benefit of using a bus is if you have more than one track, you can send both of them to the bus, and that's going to allow you to do compression on multiple parts. Now this gets really interesting in mixing, where you can start to implement parallel compression on groups of instruments. Say you have 7 or 8 guitar tracks, you can compress all of those together and mix that wet signal in underneath and kind of start to glue things together. So that's a great mixing strategy, is to use bus parallel compression. And there you have it. That's 2 different ways to implement parallel compression using Logic. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to give it a like if you thought it was helpful. Leave any questions or comments down below and I'll be sure to respond to every single one. And subscribe for more Logic Pro 10 and music production tutorials. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, night, whenever you may be watching this, and so long.